Wow, it really feels like the energy world and, geopolitics too, it just changes so fast.
It's dizzying sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, like you try to get a handle on things and then suddenly there's this new law or some huge investment or gas prices jump and it just shifts the whole picture.
Hmm.
So how do you, the listener, make sense of it all? Well, that's what we're going to try and do today. We've looked at a bunch of recent developments and three areas really stand out.
Right. We've got this surprisingly unified push for nuclear power back in the U.S.
Yeah, bipartisan, which is interesting. Then there's Europe making these massive bets on renewables and, crucially, energy storage.
Huge investments there.
Yeah,
And finally, the usual suspect, what's happening with gasoline and oil prices, always relevant.
always. So let's dive in and try to connect these dots.
Sounds good. Because they might seem separate, but I think we'll see they're actually quite interconnected. It's all part of this bigger reshaping of energy
Hmm.
driven by strategy, tech, and, well, environmental concerns.
Okay, let's kick off with the U.S. nuclear story. Bipartisan support, you don't hear that every day. What's going on?
Well, it's this International Nuclear Energy Act. And you're right, the support is notable. You've got Republicans like Senators Risch and Lee, and Democrats like Heinrich and Coons all backing it.
Okay, so that signals it's pretty serious.
Definitely. And the why seems largely geopolitical. It's about pushing back against China and Russia's growing influence in the global nuclear market.
Ah, right. The U.S. still has the most nuclear capacity now, but China's building reactors like crazy, isn't it?
Exactly. Super fast.
Mm.
And Russia's been signing deals, especially in places like Southeast Asia. So it's kind of a race to be the main global supplier of this tech.
Oh, this isn't just about energy, it's about global leadership and national security, too.
Precisely. Nuclear offers that steady, low-carbon baseload power. The kind that's always on. And that's becoming super valuable as countries try to ditch fossil fuels but still need reliable energy.
Makes sense. So what does this act actually propose doing? How does it plan to make the U.S. more competitive?
It outlines several key things. Uh, Creating a specific office to boost nuclear exports, providing financing help for these international projects,
Okay.
trying to get international safety rules more aligned, making the U.S. licensing process for exports smoother, and even setting up a fund for nuclear projects tied to national security.
Wow, that's quite comprehensive.
Yeah, and they even want regular big meetings, like cabinet-level summits, to keep everyone coordinated on safety, security, all that strategic stuff.
Some of the quotes really hit home. Senator Risch saying, basically, if the U.S. doesn't lead, Russia and China will.
Right, and Senator Lee talking about American energy dominance needing easier nuclear exports.
Hmm.
It frames it very clearly as a power struggle.
Definitely. And isn't there also a growing demand issue, like with AI data centers needing tons of power?
That's another factor, absolutely. People are looking at nuclear as one way to meet that huge surge in electricity demand without, adding tons more carbon emissions.
But we have to mention the downsides, right? Nuclear isn't easy. Delays, massive costs, the whole waste problem.
Absolutely. Those challenges are very real and haven't gone away. Building these plants takes forever and costs a fortune. And figuring out what to do with the radioactive waste long term, that's still a huge hurdle.
Yeah, I remember there was talk under the last administration about speeding up approvals and looking at waste recycling.
There was, though that recycling idea, reprocessing, faces pushback from non-proliferation experts worried about the security risks. So, yeah, it's complex.
Okay, let's shift gears across the Atlantic now to Europe. Lots happening there with renewables and storage.
Yeah, some really big moves. Infinity Global just secured a $100 million bond from Eiffel Investment Group. That's serious money.
And it's aimed at energy storage and solar projects, right?
Exactly. And what's key here is the focus on storage, battery energy storage systems, or BESS.
Mhm.
This is actually Infinity's first big financing specifically for their battery portfolio in Europe.
So they're really doubling down on storage now. Why is that so important?
Well, renewables like solar and wind are great, but they're intermittent, right? The sun doesn't always shine, wind doesn't always blow. Batteries let you store that energy when it's plentiful and use it later when needed. It makes the grid much more stable and reliable with lots of renewables.
Gotcha. So it's kind of the missing piece for renewables.
In many ways, yes. And Infinity's plans are ambitious. They're talking about a 6.4 gigawatt pipeline for these battery systems.
6.4 gigawatts, that sounds like a lot.
It is. Most of it, 5.1 gigaW, is planned for Italy, and another 1.3 gigaW in the UK. That amount of storage could make a huge difference.
Their CEO, Carlos Dominic, made a good point about needing innovation in finance, not just technology.
Absolutely. You can have the best tech, but you need the money flowing to actually build it out at scale. And it's telling that the investors here, Eiffel Investment Group, are focused on sustainable projects.
Right. Their guy, Pierre-Antoine Machelon, talked about speeding up decarbonization in Europe.
So there's alignment there. And Infinity seems well positioned, especially Italy. They're apparently a top independent power producer there and leading the market for new long-term solar contracts.
Signing a third of the new deals in 2024, the notes say.
Yeah, so they're already a big player. And this Euro million is part of a larger picture. They've secured, what, 865 million total for Europe?
Wow. Okay, so serious capital flowing into European renewables and storage.
Definitely a major trend.
All right, let's tackle the third area, oil and gas prices. Something everyone feels. What's the latest?
Well, after things calmed down a bit, U.S. gasoline prices started creeping up again. As of mid-May 2025, the national average was nudging towards $3.14 a gallon or so.
Seeing about a 4 to 6 cent jump in a week, depending on who you ask.
Right. And that's reflected locally, too. Like in Wyoming, prices ticked up. Laramie County saw a jump.
Though Natrona County dipped slightly, interestingly, shows how local things can be.
True. Patrick DeHaan over at Gas Buddy chalked up the recent rise partly to optimism about President Trump's trade moves and also gasoline inventories getting tighter.
So market sentiment and basic supply playing a role.
Seems like it, but it's worth remembering prices are still lower than this time last year.
Yeah, but that gap is shrinking. Okay, what about crude oil, the global picture?
Well, crude prices got a bit of a boost initially when those U.S.-China trade tensions eased slightly, the temporary tariff hold.
Right, a bit of optimism there.
Yeah, London Brent and U.S. WTI both went up a bit. Less fear of a big global slowdown helps oil demand generally.
But it didn't just keep climbing, did it? What put the brakes on?
A couple of things. One is the ongoing Iran nuclear talks. If a deal happens and sanctions ease, Iran could bring more oil back to the market, maybe 400,000 barrels a day.
Okay, so potentially more supply coming.
Exactly. And then there's OPEC Plus deciding to increase production gradually starting in June. That also weighs on prices.
So it's that constant balancing act. Trade news pushes it up, supply news pushes it down.
Pretty much. And you still have uncertainty around the Russia-Ukraine situation, China's economy. The market's still pretty jumpy.
Yeah, seems volatile. We saw Saudi Aramco cut propane prices too, maybe adjusting to the market.
Could be part of it. Though, interestingly, the U.S. Energy Information Administration still sees global oil consumption rising overall, even with OPEC pumping more. So demand is still expected to be strong.
Okay, so that's the sort of immediate market stuff. But what about the longer view, especially with policies pushing away from fossil fuels?
Well, that brings us to this really interesting study by the ICCT, the International Council on Clean Transportation. They looked at policies targeting road transport emissions.
And what did they find?
Pretty striking results. They calculated that if countries combine strong vehicle emission standards, like the Euro 6 or 5 levels, with a faster shift to electric vehicles, they could prevent, globally, about 1.9 million premature deaths by 2040.
Wow, 1.9 million.
Yeah. And avoid 1.4 million new cases of childhood asthma. It breaks down to saving hundreds of lives and preventing hundreds of asthma cases every day.
Those are staggering numbers.
They really are. And a key finding was that doing both cleaning up conventional cars and switching to EVs gives much bigger health benefits than just doing one or the other.
Makes sense. But you need clean electricity for those EVs.
Right, crucial point.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just moving the pollution from the tailpipe to the power plant smokestack. The electricity grid has to get cleaner, too, for the full benefit.
The study also warned about things getting worse in less developed countries without action, and specific groups being more vulnerable.
Yes, that's a really important equity dimension. They project health impacts could double in the least developed countries without better policies. And, yeah, young kids under 5, older adults over 65, and people in cities are hit hardest.
It really drives home the health argument for cleaner transport.
Absolutely. Sheila Watson from the FIA Foundation had a quote basically saying policymakers need to act on this evidence. It's not just about climate. It's about immediate public health.
So, pulling it all together then, we've got this strategic nuclear push in the U.S., driven by geopolitics, massive investment flooding into European renewables and storage.
Right. Building that future grid.
And the constant ups and downs of oil and gas, but with this growing background awareness of the serious health costs linked to burning fossil fuels, especially in transport.
Exactly. It's like all these different currents are flowing at once, pushing and pulling the global energy system in different directions. Yeah. Security, climate, health, economics, they're all tangled up.
Hopefully, listening to this gives you a clearer map to navigate some of these complex shifts.
Yeah, understanding the connections is key.
So, maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. How do you see these different trends playing out together? The nuclear revival, the renewable boom, the shifts in fossil fuels. How will they combine to shape the energy future you actually live through? What mix of energy sources do you think we'll rely on down the road?
It's definitely something we're thinking about as all this continues to evolve so quickly.